everybody, it's me, Stacey, Art Ambassador for Royal Talents, licensed designer for Sizzix Jacquard Couture Creations, and owner of Scrapbooking Made Simple, scrapbookingmadesimple.com. Hey everybody, welcome to today's In the Studio with Stacey. We are on week 2 of our May classes featuring Bruynzeel watercolor pencils and colored pencils. Now, if you're joining me for the first time, hey, I'm Stacey. I am a brand ambassador or an art ambassador for Royal Talents, and our In the Studio with Stacey classes are really meant to take product from the fine art world and incorporate it into a paper crafter's life, because that is what I am. I have no formal education in art at all. I am a maker, but I wanted to use great product. I wanted to see how I could incorporate a higher end product into my everyday crafting, where sometimes the higher end product is at almost the same price as product we buy in our paper crafting world, and yet the quality difference is dramatic. So I became an art ambassador for Royal Talents, and that allows me to educate myself and to be taught by Royal Talents and to have a mentor in Jeff who teaches me so much. And I am fortunate enough that every month I just pick one type of product, just one type of product from Royal Talents, and every Tuesday in that month we use that product in different ways so you can see how a fine art product can really enhance. Or you may look at it and go, oh no, that's not for me at all. Or it may be week 1 I do something with the product and you're like, nope, sorry. And week 2 you're like, well, this is fun to hang out and I love to live chat because we live chat during the premiere, but still I'm not so interested in this, in whatever it is I've got for you. But week 3 I do something that you're like, huh, now that speaks to me. And being able to work with a certain type of product for an extended period of time, an entire month, really lets me dive into it and give you that education that builds that confidence to where you think to yourself, you know you can do this. It's not that you think about it. You don't think you can do it. You know you can do it. And with Royal Talents as a partner, along with Sizzix and Jacquard and Couture Creations as a licensed designer, it really is very fulfilling to have time to work with a product. We don't get that very often. In our paper crafting world, product comes and goes, bing, bang, boom. It's a bing, bang, boom world in paper crafting. If you see a paper line and you want it, you better buy it, because by the next month, chances are it's sold out, bing, bang, boom. And paper crafting or manufacturers, they don't rerun paper. Or if you see a die or a stamp that you love, 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 chances are it's a one and done, and when it's gone, it's gone. But that's not the case in the fine art world. They slow their roll. While innovation isn't like up here with fine art, quality and standards, and knowing that what you buy today will be the same quality that you buy 5 years from now, or 10 years from now, or 25 years from now. And that really is what the fine art world depends on, needs, requires. Because fine artists who obviously have a career as an artist, they need to know that the products they use will be consistent for the length of time that they are in their profession. So that if they run out of a Rembrandt pastel, 5 years from now, they can buy that Rembrandt pastel and the colors will be exact. That's where fine art excels. Also in the pricing of products, sometimes I couldn't believe that the pricing of fine art product can be comparable to what we find in our paper crafting world, and yet the difference is immense. Now, in January, we worked with Ecoline watercolor markers, and I did a whole series on Ecoline watercolor markers. In February, it was Amsterdam acrylic paints. In March, Van Gogh watercolor, because there's a difference between Ecoline and Van Gogh, let me tell you. Well, first off, one's a dye-based ink and one's a pigment-based ink. That right there makes them wildly different. And then, let's see, April, we did Rembrandt pastels. Now, Rembrandt is like top of the line fine art. And these pastels, who knew they did everything that they did for such a, even full price? The pricing is incredible for everything that you can do with a body of pastels. Who knew? I did not. I learned right along with you. Now, May, we are into Bruynzeel colored pencils and watercolor pencils. And there is a difference between colored pencils and watercolor pencils. So last week we started with class 1, and we really walked through what a colored pencil is and what makes a good colored pencil versus a meh colored pencil. And yes, there's even quality higher than the Bruynzeel colored pencil. Bruynzeel are not necessarily considered fine art quality. They're considered a creator's quality, which means they're higher than a typical pencil, a colored pencil or watercolored pencil that you would find, yet lower grade than perhaps your artist colors. And they have this wonderful ability to make you look better than you are, because even though they're considered a student grade, which would be an art student grade or a creator grade, they are far superior to anything I have ever used prior to bringing Bruynzeel in. And we've had Bruynzeel for several years. These are not new to me. Nope. I brought Bruynzeel in when I understood that I could get a much higher quality, a much higher pigmented pencil for about the same price as we were paying for something out of the paper crafting world, which isn't bad. It's just not quite as good. So with our colored pencils, we talked about the difference between an oil and a wax-based pencil, and an oil-based pencil is going to be a higher quality pencil. We're working with a wax-based pencil, and that amount of wax in it, or the amount of filler in it, it really does make a difference in the quality of the pencil. The more filler in a pencil, the less pigment in a pencil. You want something that does not have a lot of filler in it. And the only way you're going to know if your pencils have a lot of filler in it is whether the vibrancy of the colors are there. If they are not vibrant, if they kind of mute down when you start to blend them together, you might have a pencil that has quite a bit of filler in it. Bruynzeel is not that pencil. They really play a very good balance between that fine art world and that paper crafting world, and give you something that is better than you would expect at a price point that's still affordable for most. It is. It's a great compromise, and I think Bruynzeel has done an amazing job. So with a colored pencil, the softness of the pencil is super important, because the softer the pencil, the finer they blend together. Harder the pencil, the harder it is to get them to make that beautiful blend. But the softer the pencil, the faster the point will wear down, and the more you're going to have to sharpen it. And these Bruynzeels play again in a nice little happy medium, where it's not a hard pencil, so you don't feel like you've got scratching going on. It's soft enough to make a beautiful blend, but it's not so soft that you are sharpening and sharpening and sharpening. Also with penciled color pencils, it's about the building of the color, the layering of the color. You're going to watch me go in, and I'm going to lay down color lightly. And then I'm going to lay down another coat of my color and another layer of my color. And I'm going to build that color up to the intensity that I want it to be, as opposed to trying to go in there and scribble it in really hard from the first time. That's not how colored pencils work. We need to think about lightness and building our color. That's how colored pencils work. Also, are they light fast? Not so much. Not so much. There's not a definitive answer on what the light fast is on Bruynzeel, but I would not sell them as a light fast pencil. And if you're wondering what light fast means, it's how long you can put a finished project in what they call a museum quality light or daylight before it starts to fade. Now, for us makers in the paper crafting world, chances are our makes aren't going to be around for 100 years, but who knows? But I do want you to know that not necessarily light fast. That's kind of important, so that you have that in the back of your mind. Now I'm going to tilt on down. I'm going to get started for today. I'm going to be working with the metallics in the colored pencil range from Bruynzeel, and there are 12 of them. We have well, let me tilt on down and let me show you, and let's get started for today. Welcome to In the Studio with Stacey, everybody. We are talking about colored pencils and watercolored pencils, and I hope that I share with you and give you some of that education that you've been curious about or you didn't know that you needed to know. That's even more important. So if you're joining me during our live chat, which is during the premiere at 6 p.m. sunny California time, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern every Tuesday, say hey, and I'll say hey back. All right, I'm going to tilt on down, and we're going to get started for today. Down we go. All right, now I am my own camera person, so I'm going to zoom on in and down a little bit more. And I'm going to bring over. So this is the set of Bruynzeel. Now we have smaller sets. I will tell you that bringing pencils into the US has gotten incredibly difficult and expensive. So this set is it's like a bumper crop set. It was done for something, and I was able to pick up the last sets of them from Royal Talons, not even knowing that these were available until literally last week, right before I started to tape. It was incredible. So this is a set. It's the coloring and drawing set. And that means it's got watercolor pencils in here, colored pencils in here, metallic colored pencils in here, graphite pencils in here. It's got sharpeners, and it's got an eraser. So when you open it, it really does have a little, even a paintbrush, it really does have a little bit of everything. I've got my 12 metallic colored pencils here. I've got 18 watercolor pencils here. And then you pick up tray 1, and underneath, oh, I missed a pencil. Oh, no, I didn't. That's the separate, oh, yep, I did. Okay, move this on over. Somebody got bumped out of place. I've got 4 graphite pencils and then 32 colored pencils. And this is what we played with last week, the colored pencils. And we swatched them and we blended with them. And I really do encourage you to go back to last week's class and watch series 1 of our Bruynzeel colored pencils and watercolor pencils. Today, I'm going to play with the metallics, and that's where we're going to live in today, is the metallics. And they are different. You can see they've got this black little tip at it, whereas our regular colored pencils look more like wood. And we're going to get into just how metallic they are, how to use them, when to use them, and why you will either love them or you'll be eh. Now, people asked last week, there was a question because we do have some smaller sets of the Bruynzeel left. I don't know exactly what we have left, to be honest with you, because they are getting harder and harder to bring pencils into the US. But the question was, are the 12 colors here from metallics the same 12 colors in the Bruynzeel 12-pack set? Yes, they are. So if you already have this, well, this is still an exceptional buy. It runs $81.50, and we have it, I think, for $48.99. It's an exceptional buy, but I bought all of them to get it that price. I had to buy all of them. So if you have these, well, you get this set because you want the watercolor and you want all the other colored pencils, you will have doubles of them. I'm not sure that anybody complains too loudly about doubles in the paper crafting world. Most of us have inks probably 3 or 4 times over again sometimes because we love the color so much, but they are the same color. So this is really the big set that we have for you that is at the very, very best price. And today I am going to be just playing with the metallics. So let's see if I can just flip these around just so it maybe is a little easier for you. Let's see, they're here. Let's see if I can get a little bit easier for you to see some of them. Well, maybe not. We'll have to see. All right. So first off, the metallics. There are 12 colors. And are they metallic? Well, yes and no. They are lovely on black paper. They're beautiful on black paper. And you will see that I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to gently lay some color down. Now, I'm not pressing hard. I'm not pressing hard at all. The idea is to just lay some color down. The softness of these pencils is quite nice. They're hard enough to still keep my point, but soft enough that when I start to blend, you will notice the blends. Now, the more I add, the more I go over, the more vibrant and bolder the color will become. And with Bruynzeel pencils, you can lay down probably 5 or 6 layers before it starts to kind of resist wanting to take any more color down. And you can go and come back in a perpendicular way and lay down some more color to fill that color in. We're not going to be using Gamsol so much today. Gamsol mineral spirits, we used them last week. And I'm just gently laying down my color and kind of filling in my space. So really pretty. But are they metallic? Maybe not the way you think of metallic. I think a lot of us think metallic is very, easy to see, that it's very, very shiny. It's got that reflective. And this does have a reflective property of metallic. But when you look at it straight on, does it scream metallic? No. It's when you start moving the pencil around, when you start getting that reflective light off of it, that's when you can really start to see the metallic. So my first pass, you can see there's lots of open space, but I want to be light with it because I'm going to come back and I'm going to do a second pass. And every time I do another pass, my color intensifies, my coverage gets better. So now 2 passes. And now I come back. And lightly, now I'm into it for 3 passes. And every time I do it, I fill in a little bit more color. Now I'm into 4 passes. It's about layering that color and building that color so that when you get that reflective light off of it, it absolutely looks metallic. Holding it straight up and looking at it, you're gonna go, I'm not so sure. But getting that reflective light off of it, yeah, then you're going to see it. So I've done several passes and I may need to eventually sharpen my pencil. Easy peasy, you're gonna pull out the sharpener that you need. Even the sharpener, I believe, is made in Holland. Bruynzeel is out of Holland, and they're just a very well-made quality product. So I've got 2 colors down, just to give you an idea. Now, last week we did use Gamsol. And if you remember, we took, let's see, do I have a little stubby somewhere? We took a little bit of our colored pencil. Let's just grab a color out of my second layer. We took a colored pencil and we came in and we put a little color down. And then we took our mineral spirits or Gamsol with our stubby and we softened that color out. So here it looks like almost like a crayon. But once I add that Gamsol and I soften it out, it takes that wax and it almost melts it into a paint. Now there's no heat and there's no odor. And then I can come back and I can add a little bit more at my top immediately. I don't have to wait. These aren't colored pencils. And then, so now I've added a little bit more to my top. Now we did this last week, so you're gonna wanna go back and check that out. And then I can soften that out, making my top even darker, because the darker I am here, the lighter it's going to look there to give me that shadow and that mid-tone and that highlight. So that's what we did last week. Now, can I take Gamsol and work with my metallics? Well, yeah. So let's grab a color and let's lay some color down. So I've got one pass, which is about what I did with my purple, just one pass. What I did with my regular purple. And let's grab see, not so much with the metallic on black. It will soften it, but it will also make it disappear. Let me sharpen this real quick. So this is just a compressed paper stubby. And to sharpen it, you get a stubby sharpener, which is sandpaper, that you just a handheld sandpaper, and you just sharpen that other color right off. That's pretty good. Now, assuming that there's still plenty of sandpaper on here to use, but assuming it was all done, you just take it off and peel off that sheet, and underneath is a whole nother sheet, and you've got a whole stack of them. But that's how you sharpen a paper stubby. Now, let's see if I take it, a little bit of Gamsol. With my 6 or 7 or, well, no, I guess it was maybe 4 or 5 layers. So I'm not necessarily a big wahoo kachoo about Gamsol and metallics. I am a huge wahoo kachoo girl with Gamsol and regular colored pencils. Fabulous. It looks fabulous. It behaves fabulous. It is fabulous. This was all done with just a colored pencil and Gamsol. Love it. But we're talking metallics here today, and metallics behave differently. I actually think they're maybe a little bit softer than what the colored pencils are, the normal colored pencils. I could be wrong, but when you see how well they blend, I think it's going to change your perception of them. Now, I'm going to take some paper, and I want to do some blending with you. So I'm going to use black. Can you use them on white? Yes. Yes, you can. Is it the same? No. No, it's not. So here's my first coat, just gently. My first layer, and I'll come back with a second layer. And then maybe I'll rotate and I'll try and fill in. So on the perpendicular, and what that does is it allows you to fill in some of that space. And again, less is more. And then I might come back and another coat, another layer. So I don't know that you're ever going to get that reflective property on white paper. To me, it just looks like a colored pencil that I could have taken one of my regular blues and been happy with. Let me give this a quick sharpen. And so one layer. Come back and we'll add a second layer. Come back and we'll add a third layer. And every time I put another layer, it fills in a little bit more. All right. So now I've got it on the black and that reflective property is there, whereas on the white, it's not so much. They're the same color, but they look dramatically different between the black and the white paper. So I want to play, and I've used quite a bit. Now I'm going to sharpen it. I could probably get away with a little bit more, and I only sharpen like a turn and a half. That's it. Not much. I'm not sharpening it too much, just maybe a turn and a half. So I want to do some blends with you, or I want to do some stamping with you, and I'm going to bring over one of the stamps that we have from Studio Light. We've been using this since I think the very first week. We've got 4 stamp sets that we've been using. These are big 8x8 stamps. And I think I've been using them again since, well, since we started back in January. And I just keep going back to them because they're big and they're bold and they give me oodles of places to color and to practice with. I love this leaf set. So I just keep using them. And yeah, we have them for sale. But for me, it's about having that big opportunity with lots of area to practice in and to color in. Now, I'm not going to do the whole thing. I'm going to go this way, doesn't matter. All right, that looks good. So I'm just going to put my paper down here. And I'm going to take some of my Wow Embossing Medium. So this is an embossing pad. It is a clear medium that allows you to use an embossing powder. And since I'm working on black, I'm going to work with white embossing powder. So I ink it up, and I've got my Sizzix stencil and stamp platform, and I'm using it as the stamp platform today. Sometimes I use it as the stencil alignment tool. I feel, well, we're gonna go for it. I feel like there's a little bubble in my stamp, like I needed to put it back down again, but we're just gonna go for it. And until I pull up my paper, yeah, there's a little bubble in there. Until I pull up my paper, can you see that watermarked image? That's the embossing medium being transferred onto my paper. Now, it didn't take much and I didn't press hard. I'm not gonna fix the stamp. Maybe I'll do another one, but there's a little bubble right there where the stamp, they call it needing to be burped. It needs to be burped to get the little bubble out of it. But I'm just going to give a light press and transfer that embossing medium. Now I'm just kind of going to look and see, is there any place that I don't see it? It looks pretty good, and that's the beautiful thing about having a stamp positioner, is that if I saw some place that I said, oh, I missed a spot, I could come back in and add a little bit more so you guys can see the bubbles in it. Well, I don't know if you can see it, but I can. I just want to pull it up, but we're not gonna. I could add a little bit more. It's a little air pocket. And bring it back down. And there we go. And actually, it's going to drive me crazy. So I'm just going to pull my stamp up, and I'm just going to put it back down. This time, hopefully no air pockets. Yeah, that looks so much better. Sometimes you just got to burp your stamp. If it's not stamping well for you, it may be that it's got that little air pocket and you just need to burp your stamp. All right, so I'm gonna put this down and I'm just gonna do this again. See, because now I feel it's a little bit better. Oh, a little bit of a burp right there. A little bit of air. There we go. And a nice press, and a nice press. Oh, that looks really good. Yeah, this one looks really good. I'm going to do a little bit right here. I need a little bit right there. So as long as I don't take my stamp off my stamp positioner or lift up my paper, I can just keep going back over it until I'm happy. So now I've got two of them. Well, happy day for me. And again, you can see that watermarked image. Now that's going to stay wet long enough for me to I'm putting a piece of black paper here because I'm not pulling my stamp off, and it's got Wow embossing medium on it. So I just want to put just a blank piece of black paper in there. So now I've got 2 of them. And I can bring over my white embossing powder from Wow. And anywhere that Wow embossing medium is, my powder is going to stick. And then let's put all of this right back in my jar. So I'm going to tap this one off a couple times just to get all that excess embossing powder off. If it's anywhere I don't want it to be, I can take a little paintbrush and just kind of wipe it off. Some people use an anti-static or a what is it that you put in your dryer? A softener, the little softener towels that you put in your dryer. It will be anti-static. All right, I think I'm going to be okay, but I'm going to do this one too because I've got this one as well. Now I haven't heat set this, so if I don't do something with this, it will wipe right off. I must heat set it, but I did do this one. So let's see about this one. This one I got a little bit of a burp in there and I can see it, but that's okay. We're just going to go for it. This is playtime. And what I mean by a little bit of a burp, right there and right there, where my stamp had a little bit of an air pocket, so it hit the paper as opposed to clinging to my positioner. And all I have to do is go in there and kind of, same thing, just kind of wipe them out. And I think I'm going to put all of this back. So you use very little embossing powder. And if you have never seen embossing powder before, this is magical. So I'm going to give a pretty good thump. Get some of the extra off. And then I take a heat tool. It is not a blow dryer and it's not a paint stripper. It's a heat tool. And I'm going to put this right down. And I'm going to let it heat this powder and change it into a solid. Embossing powder is a plastic substrate. So it's ground up fine enough that when you heat it to a certain temperature, it melts. And it goes from that powder to a solid. And I just walk along as I see the white become vibrant. And it's kind of an artsy-fartsy stamp. So if I have some places that have a little bit more and some places that have a little bit less, I'm okay with that. And I want to make sure I've got the whole thing. Because if I have not turned it into a solid, it will just wipe away. Okay, let's hope I did good. So this has been changed now into my, how long does it take to cool? When the paper is cool, so is your embossing powder. Oh yeah, I did good, I got it all, nothing wiped away, but this one isn't heat set yet. So if I were to touch this, it would just completely wipe away. And as I see the powder turn is when I move my heat tool. This is not a paint stripper. This is a heat tool by Wow, specifically for embossing powder. And here, let me see if you can see the difference. This has been heat set. It has turned into a solid. This is still a powder. There's definitely a difference in the vibrancy of the white. As it turns, it becomes more white, more bold in its color. Just making sure I got everywhere. All right, let's try it. Give it a second to, just for the paper to cool. That's all I need is for the paper to cool. And once it's cool, then I can touch it. And it's got that embossed raised feel that you get when you have like formal invitations. It really is very wonderful. Now last week when we did these, you'll remember that we were using the Gamsol. We were putting color down and then pulling that color out to make our shading, to make our shadows and our highlights and our midtones. But here, we're not going to be able to use that Gamsol. You saw what happened when we used the Gamsol. It took away that, it took away that metallic look to it. See, this still has a little bit of that metallic look to it, but this, no, nothing at all. So for today, we are just going to blend on our own. We're going to make our colors blend on their own. We're not going to add anything special. We're just going to go for it. And so I thought that we would start maybe with, I like this blue. So a little bit of a turn. And then I'm just going to go right here. And I'm going to lightly add my blue. I'm not pressing hard. It's not about how hard you press. It's about the layering and the building of the color that you do. So I'm going to do that one. And then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to do this one. And I'm just lightly putting my pencil color down. And then I'm going to come over and I'm going to do this one. Now I didn't use an anti-static, so I've got little white spots everywhere. I'm okay with my little white spots. All right, so I've got one layer of color on each. Now I'm going to come back and do a second layer. Lightly. All right, now I've got a second layer. On all three of them. Now I'm going to leave this one and I'm going to do a third on these two. And a third over here. So I've got 2 layers here, but 3 on those 2. Now I'm going to come in and I'm going to grab my silver. And I'm going to put a little silver on the top and maybe coming down a little bit on the side. So a little bit of silver here. So 2 coats, 3 coats in silver, 3 coats in silver. And less is more. Be soft and ginger. Okay. So now these 2 are exactly the same. Now I might come back with my blue that I've been using. A little bit of blue into this one. Up into that silver, and a little bit of blue into this one, up into that silver. So now I'm starting to make my blend, but I'm doing it straight with a colored pencil. Now I might come back with my silver and add another layer. And magically, you will see it start to blend into that blue. So pretty. So that one is all nice, and look at how beautiful is that. This one I didn't come back and blend into yet. And this one I haven't even added an extra color or the silver on top, so that you can see the progression of how it looks. So now I can come back and add a little bit more silver onto this one. And come back and add a little more blue. So this is why the softness of the pencil becomes important. The softer the pencil, the easier it is to make that blend. The harder the pencil, the harder it is to make that blend. And Bruynzeels are beautiful. They're not as soft as oils, and yet they have some of the same quality as oils and sometimes can be mistaken as an oil. Now I've got those two. I don't know what you see, but I see what I see, and that's a happy day. Now this one I didn't even finish. I stopped at 2. So let's add a third layer of my color. Let's start to add some of my silver. Soft, like a cloud, like whipped cream, light. Don't press hard. Let's come back and add a little bit more of my blue at that demarcation line. And a little bit more of my silver. You cannot go wrong. The only thing you can do is maybe get pressed too hard in the beginning, but you will learn. You will learn, and you will come to understand that you don't have to put so much effort. Let the pencils do the work for you. And now I've got that one blending, and that one blending, and that one blending, and they really are something special. These metallics really are something special. I could come in with maybe a little darker blue. And maybe just add a little bit of darker blue down towards the bottom. Just to give a little more intensity. Down at the bottom. And I am on my way. No water, no Gamsol, no paintbrushes, nothing but me and the pencil. It is me and the pencil. Now I'm going to have to give it a twist and a half. It's me and the pencil. Be one with the pencil, Stacey. Be one with the pencil. Yes, I'm using the right color. Light. And just fill in. I think I've got enough going on those two that I'm then going to bring in my silver on this one. And my blue. And my silver. And back and forth, and then maybe a little darker blue down at the bottom. Oh, what do we think? Can you see the metallic now? Yes, I think you can. All right, let's do another one. And maybe we do our kind of our red, I don't know, rose goldy color. Little bit of a twist. Do not over sharpen. Do not over sharpen. So, oh. One. I'm just laying down my first color. Okay, I've got my first kind of layers down. Come back and let's do a second coat. Second layer. It's going to fill in a little bit more. Light touch. Leaving room at the top for me to add another color. So this is easy to do, easy to have in front of you as you're watching TV, as you're on an airplane, as you are traveling, because you don't need anything but the pencils. There's nothing that I'm adding to make them do their magic trick. Okay, so I've got two coats, or two layers. I think that's pretty good. Let's grab a gold. One layer of gold. Take it right down into a little bit of that red. Now remember, we're just one layer in. Okay, let's pull that red back, and I might have to do a 1.5. That's it, no more. That's all I shaved off. Everything about colored pencils is less is more. So another coat, Another layer, pulling it into a little bit of that gold. Oh, I forgot to add gold over here. And then the last thing I'm going to do is really work with the gold pencil and go back and forth between the two, just so I can really build that beautiful seamless blend. I mean, this blend is beautiful. That one right there is beautiful. This one here, beautiful. I'm going to come back and blend this now. And just let that pencil do all the work. Oh my gosh, these are so fun and they're so easy. So I know that fine artists enjoy the metallics. Look at that metallic. Hello. Hello, wink, wink, wink. And then I could go just to add a little color down the side. Just to add a little bit of color. So now I've got my blue and my red. Let's do one more. Let's play in the purple. And that's it. That's all I'm going to twist. Lightly lay down your first. Don't press too hard. You're not trying to get all the color down in one pass. See, I like the little white specks. It adds a little bit of texture to my flowers. Okay, this should give everything one pass. Oh, I think I'm going to pass on that one. All right, so everything's got one pass now. Okay, now I've got two passes. I've got two layers going on. I think maybe this is part of the flower. Well, we're going to make it part of the flower now. And we're going to make this part of the flower too. So these have only got one pass. That's okay. We'll come back. Okay, those look pretty good. So the two that I need to come back to, oh, see, I'm going to have to give a 1.5. Zoop, zoop. That's it. I think most people end up sharpening too much or don't have the right sharpener for their pencils. All right. I think that's good enough to start with. And then maybe I bring in maybe a little green. Just kind of at the tops. Little bit of green, but I'm still leaving myself room. So right now, just one pass. And my pressure is super light. So now I've got a little green going all the way around. Maybe one more pass. Okay, one more pass. And then let's bring in our gold. And move that gold into the green. So there's one pass. And I'm just putting one pass down. That's it. One pass. I'll come in and add a second. And move that into my green. All right, one pass done. Next layer. And this is where I can grab that green and kind of move them into each other and make that beautiful blend. Just with pencils. And being ever so light. And let the softness of the pencil do its work. Oh, this is so pretty. And I might pull that purple back just a little bit. And move that purple into the green and the green into the purple. And I haven't done anything but color. See, I want to make this blend a little bit better. I don't want that such a straight line there. So I'm going to take my purple and come back in. And instant presto. Let the pencils do the work. And then when the light refracts off of it, you get the metallic. What do you think? It is so easy and it is so pretty. And it's not metallic in your face. Oh, hello, look at me, look at me. It's like, hey, I'm ultra cool and I know I'm pretty rock star, so I don't have to scream rock star because I am rock star. That's what these metallic pencils are like. And they're from Bruynzeel and they are so easy to use and so user friendly. And when you're done, you're done. Am I done? I don't know. See, I think this one needs to be so there's one coat or one layer. There's one layer. Come in and add a second layer, and add a second layer. And then let's take our gold. And take our gold lightly into our red. And then our red into our gold. And let the softness of the pencils do their magic. And it's like right in front of you. It makes this blend. And all you're doing is scribbling. This is my kind of scribbling. So metallic colored pencils. They're beautiful. They really are beautiful. And they are just easy to use. And it's about layering color. It's not about trying to put down the darkest color when you start. It's about layering that color and giving that color an opportunity to shine as you build. And the faster you get at it, the more you do it, the faster it goes to where you are just bing, bing, boom. I took my time because you all needed to see. But once you get going, it truly is a bing, bang, boom. So Bruynzeel, metallics. I don't know that we have any of the 12 packs left. I do know that We used the same pack last week for the pencils underneath, the colored pencils that are underneath it. We played with these last week. We played with the metallics this week, and next week we'll move into the watercolor. This is an amazing set, and I'm lucky to have it. It was just an oddity that I was able to get my hands on this set, and I have Matt at Royal Talons to thank for it, because holy smokes artichokes, he went and got all of them for me. Not that we have tons, but we have more than, well, I don't know what's left. We probably have about 20 sets left. And instead of $81.50, it's under $50. And it really is beautiful. And you watched me do this. We started here. I was playing with this one earlier. This is the whole one. I might finish this one too. I just started playing with this one a little earlier. There's the whole stamp. But wow, what you can do. So I just used my 110-pound paper. This is my 110-pound cardstock. That's what I used today. It is 25 sheets, 110 pound for $9.99. And I used my white embossing powder from Wow, and my embossing medium, and my stencil and stamp platform from Sizzix, and then the same stamps we've been using week after week. Just because they're big and they're bold and they're fun to color and they're inexpensive, and you can really get in there and have lots of room to learn and play and create. But this is the winner chicken dinner, and we'll continue to use it next week as well, when we don't use the metallic colored pencils, but we start using the watercolor pencils. And yes, there is an incredible difference between colored pencils and watercolor pencils. Always remember with your colored pencils, wow! Remember with your colored pencils, the thickness of the core is important. How much is in that core? You don't want something that's too thin where you don't have much of a lead in there. You want them highly pigmented. You want them less filler. You want them to have vibrant colors. And the colors we did last week were certainly vibrant colors. And you want a quality that's going to exceed what you are hoping for and yet not break the bank. And that's what they are. So while they're not considered fine art quality, I do know that there are fine artists who use these, absolutely, and teeter between these and a fine art quality, because you can get that smooth blend that almost looks like it could be an oil, but it's not an oil colored pencil. These are wax based. Yum. So that is it for today. What did we think? Was it unexpected? Maybe you have the metallics and you just didn't know how to use them and you weren't getting the results that you wanted. Less is more. Put down a thin layer, then build that color, and then build that color, and then bring in your next color and build that color, and let the pencil do the work. No water, no Gamsol, no paint brushes, nothing special. Well, you're special, so that's something special. Your creativity and your desire to make something pretty. All right, you guys, it's me, Stacey, and I am an art ambassador for Royal Talons. I will be doing a live interview on the Royal Talons YouTube channel. Go become a subscriber right now. I will be doing a live interview with my mentor, Jeff, on August 6th. I think it's I don't know what time, but August 6th, I will be doing a live one-on-one interview with Jeff. So go follow Royal Talents right here on YouTube. Click subscribe, mark your calendars. It's in a few months, but I look forward to live chatting with all of you and being live, and who knows what questions he's going to ask me, because I am the first paper crafter who's ever been a brand ambassador and art ambassador for Royal Talents. All of their amazing other art ambassadors all have degrees in art or are fine artists in their own right and just stunning work. But I come to this as a paper crafter, and what we can do with this beautiful product and how we see it and how we interpret it. And you know me, I think way out of the box. So all of the products available at scrapbookingmadesimple.com. Absolutely, it's available in our retail store. But please, if you have a fine art store local to you, go say hello. Ask them, do you have colored pencils? Bruynzeel colored pencils, and let them show you what they have. Now, you may choose to go a little bit higher because there are brands that are higher, or you may choose to go a little bit lower because there are brands that are lower. But if you're looking for a well-rounded brand that is going to give you what you expect, Bruynzeel you're going to be very happy with. All right, you guys. It's me, Stacey. The next time I see you is Thursday for our next New For You event. I have all and create for you. So that'll be right back here on the Scrapbooking Made Simple YouTube channel, 6 p.m. sunny California time, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern, right back here, right here. So until then, have a great night, everybody. Bye.